Welcome, Safety Roof employees. You may be asking why we're having this meeting. I, as a work health safety advisor, have identified a hazard within your workplace, and we're going to discuss and agree on your responsibilities about how to control/mitigate the risk of the hazard. Now, our first participant is John. You are a PCBU for Safety Roof and a supervisor, mainly in the office. You don't get out on site very often. Our second participant is an affected worker, James. You are a leading hand and always out on site conducting works. And our third participant is Joe. You are also an affected worker. Now, this consultation will hopefully run for about 10 minutes, and at any point if you have any questions or comments, please just raise your hand and I'll answer them, hopefully as best as I can. Now, does anyone have any idea what hazard is?
No.
Okay, today we're going to be talking about noise-induced hearing loss. Does anyone know what that is?
Deafness.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Let me just read a quick description. Noise-induced hearing loss, or NIHL, can be gradual or immediate and may be temporary or permanent. Depending on the intensity of the noise and the duration of the exposure, hearing loss can range from a small shift in the threshold at which sounds at different frequencies can be detected, to total deafness. Hearing loss may affect one or both ears, although not always to the same extent. Permanent hearing loss cannot be replaced or repaired. Something funny?
Nothing
Okay, well,
at
good.
all.
Excellent. Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, does anyone know what unit we use to measure noise? Yeah, yes.
Decibels.
Correct, yes. And does anyone want to have a guess at what number of decibels up to is considered safe in Australia?
20.
That's barely a whisper. Try again.
85.
Correct. And anything above 85 is considered unsafe. Now, does anyone know what kind of equipment would emit such a noise at 85 decibels? Yes.
A vacuum?
Spot on, a vacuum cleaner. Now, I will just mention that it's all time-based. So, a vacuum cleaner, if you're exposed to 85 decibels for a minute, not so bad. But 8 hours, that's probably when you start need to wear some hearing protection. And so decibels go right up to around 140. They can go higher, but around that 140 is not very good at all. So you don't want to be exposed to anything like that. That all make sense?
Yes.
Excellent. Moving on. Now I'm going to describe the intended monitoring process at your workplace. I, as a safety advisor, have determined that within your daily scope of works that you could be potentially subject to noise levels above 85 decibels and therefore are required to wear hearing protection when this exposure occurs, as per the New South Wales Work Health Safety Regulations. As a safety advisor for Safety Roof, I must ensure that the noise levels that workers are exposed to do not exceed the Australian exposure standard levels. Now, this hearing protection will only be required when you are installing or dismantling edge protection on steel frame houses. You guys do a lot of work with timber and other materials, but when you exceed the 85 is typically with steel structures. So anything to do with steel, if you're screwing into or using, you need to put your hearing protection on. The intended monitoring process will include myself and possibly a noise measurement professional. We'll be attending your steel frame house contracts with a noise dosimeter. The specific noise dosimeter that we'll be using is called a Model EG5, and we'll be taking static noise assessments. Now, does anyone know what a static noise assessment is?
No.
No.
Let me tell you. It is a static workplace noise measurement involves having a noise measurement professional walk walk through the workplace and take spot measurements using a handheld sound level meter. The level meter must be calibrated to the specifications as stipulated in the Australian standards, and the assessor must be suitably qualified. The spot reading results taken during the assessment can be used then to calculate individual worker or group noise exposures. Does that all make sense so far?
Mhm.
Excellent, very good. Any questions so far? Very good. Okay. During these assessments, all workers and myself will be required to wear hearing protection. You'll be able to conduct your normal tasks without the interruption from the professional or myself. So you just go about your daily duties and we'll be there taking a few measurements and readings. Now, I also understand that some of you have been working for Safety Roof for quite a long time. 5 years, a couple of years for you, and Joe started. So therefore you could already have been potentially exposed to dangerous levels of noise. Therefore, each of you and your colleagues will be required to undergo an audiometric testing procedure as per the regulations, so we can determine everyone's current hearing capabilities. Any questions? Very good. From these audiometric tests, Safety Roof will advise as to which workers are most affected and require additional assistance. Yeah, yes, question.
Do we undertake this on company time or our own time?
No, to be company time. Safety Roof will provide everything, and yeah, so
Okay.
that's fine.
Thank you.
It'll be during work hours as well, so very good. So who knows what kind of hearing protection options there are?
Earplugs?
Yep. Any yes?
Earmuffs?
Correct. And those are the most commonly used ones. I'm pretty sure that's all of them. Safety Roof will provide all workers with both earmuffs and earplugs for personal protection. It will be up to you guys if you want to choose earmuffs or earplugs. Both are adequate, but I also mentioned that you can use both at the same time for added compounding protection. Now, the earmuffs provided by Safety Roof give a noise reduction rating of 28 decibels. They're the least effective. Earplugs will give a noise reduction rating of 31 decibels, a little bit better, and combining the two will give a noise reduction rating of 36 decibels. Now, I've been around the past couple of weeks doing some of my own testing with my mobile phone, and you guys are exposed to approximately around 115 to 120 decibel when you're doing your work. So quite loud, and it's the equivalent of a music concert or a sporting event. So with our added protection, if you can see on the chart here, if you're using your earmuffs only, you're going to be going down to about 87. Earplugs, you're down to 84, and if you're using both, it's a nice safe 79. But then again, all three are effective to get down to that safe level, but you can use both or either or, it doesn't matter. Up to you guys. Any questions so far? All makes sense? Good. So currently Safety Roof swims and documentation, they don't have any sort of PPE requirements. That's going to change, and all Safety Roof swims and documentation policies and procedures will be updated with the amendments, and we'll be discussing all of these changes at the next week's talk. Is there any questions? Any final questions?
When will we go for our tests?
We'll be talking with your boss Ken, and we'll be implementing those changes as soon as we can. So hopefully within the next few weeks. Any questions? That's it. Well, that concludes our consultation. Thank you.